currently are. It was December 30th in the year 1853 that James Gadsden, the U.S. Minister to Mexico, and General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, the President of Mexico, signed the Gadsden Purchase in Mexico City. The treaty settled the dispute over the location of the Mexican border west of El Paso, Texas, and established the final boundaries of the southern United States. For the price of $15 million, later reduced to $10 million, our great nation acquired approximately 30,000 square miles of land in what is now southern New Mexico and Arizona. Jefferson Davis was the U.S. Secretary of War under President Franklin Pierce, our nation's 14th president. Jefferson Davis was also the president of the Confederacy during the Civil War. Jefferson Davis had sent Gadsden to negotiate with Santa Anna for the land, which was deemed by a group of political and industrial leaders to be a highly strategic location for the construction of the Southern Transcontinental Railroad. In 1861, the Big Four leaders of Western railroad construction, Collis P. Huntington, Leland Stanford, Mark Hopkins, and Charles Crocker, established the Southern Pacific branch of the Central Pacific Railroad. It was December 30th in the year 1862 that the USS Monitor sinks in a storm off Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. Just 9 months earlier, the ship had been part of a revolution in naval warfare when the ironclad dueled to a standstill with the CSS Virginia Merrimack off Hampton Roads, Virginia, in one of the most famous naval battles in American history. It was the first time two ironclads faced each other in a naval engagement. After the famous duel, the Monitor provided gun support on the James River for George B. McClellan's Peninsular Campaign. By December of 1862, it was clear the Monitor was no longer needed in Virginia, so she was sent to Beaufort, North Carolina, to join a fleet being assembled for an attack on Charleston, South Carolina. Monitor served well in the sheltered waters of the Chesapeake Bay, but the heavy, low-slung ship was a poor craft for the open sea. The USS Rhode Island towed the ironclad around the rough waters of Cape Hatteras. Since December is a treacherous time for any ship off North Carolina, the decision to move the Monitor could be considered questionable. As the Monitor pitched and swayed in the rough seas, the caulking around the gun turret loosened the waters and began to leak into the hull. More leaks developed as the journey continued. High seas tossed the craft, causing the ship's flat armor bottom to slap the water. Each roll opened more seams, and by nightfall on December 30th, the Monitor was in dire straits. The Monitor's commander, J.P. Bankhead, signaled the Rhode Island that he wished to abandon the ship. The wooden side wheeler pulled as close as safety allowed to the stricken ironclad, and 2 lifeboats were lowered to retrieve the crew. Many of the sailors were rescued, but some men were terrified to venture onto the deck in such rough seas. The ironclad's pumps stopped working, and the ship sank before 16 crew members could be rescued. They continued their eternity. Although the Monitor service was brief, it signaled a new era in naval combat. The Virginians' arrival off Hampton Roads terrified the U.S. Navy, but the Monitor leveled the playing field. Both sides had ironclads, and the advantage would go to the side that could build more of them. Northern industry would win that battle for the Union. It was December 30th in 1922 in post-revolutionary Russia. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, or USSR, is established, comprising a confederation of Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and the Transcaucasian Federation, divided in 1936 into Georgian, Azerbaijan, and Armenian republics. Also known as the Soviet Union, the new communist state was the successor of the Russian Empire and the first country in the world to be based on Marxist socialism. During the Russian Revolution of 1917 and subsequent three-year Russian Civil War, the Bolshevik Party under Vladimir Lenin dominated the Soviet forces, a coalition of workers' and soldiers' committees that called for the establishment of a socialist state in the former Russian Empire. In the USSR, all levels of government were controlled by the Communist Party, and the party's Politburo, with its increasingly powerful General Secretary, effectively ruled the country. Soviet industry was owned and managed by the state, and agricultural land was divided into state-run collective farms. In the decades after it was established, the Russian-dominated Soviet Union grew into one of the world's most powerful and influential states and eventually encompassed 15 republics: Russia, Ukraine, Georgia, Belarus, Uzbekistan, Armenian, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. In 1991, the Soviet Union was dissolved following the collapse of its communist government. Historic information divulged and documented on this audio file can be verified on the